This podcast was for a school assignment. Enjoy.
Hey, what's up, fellow rockers, and welcome to Music Madness Podcast. We're your hosts, Chris
and Josh.
Here on this show, we talk about and discuss anything to do with music, whether it's bands, songs, albums, instruments, musicians, or concerts. We aim to choose topics to entertain and pique you, the listener's interest.
All right, considering that this is episode 1, I believe introductions are in order. So my name's Josh. I'm 23 years old, and I've been playing guitar since I was 12, so that would be 11 years now. And I'll let Chris introduce himself.
What's going on, guys? So I'm Chris. I'm 28 years old. Yeah, I know, I'm old. I like to think I age well and hide it pretty good, but that's life. So yeah, I've been playing drums almost my entire life. I started out as a very young boy. In my early teens, I kind of started to take it more serious. And then in my 20s, I decided to go to school to be further trained and educate myself more professionally.
Far out, man.
Thank you.
All right, let's get this started, shall we? So, Chris, I understand that you're quite the long-experienced drummer. I mean, you're 28, so that blew my mind a little bit. Why don't you tell me about some of your influences?
Thanks for the lovely introduction, Josh. Yeah, I've been playing for quite some time. I guess considering my age, I could say I've put some mileage on my drum kit. I've always been a natural classic rock drummer, alternative sort of stuff. So my all-time favorite band would be Led Zeppelin, the mighty Zeppelin. They got some amazing tunes. I love their drummer, John Bonham, the Hammer of the Gods, they say. He's a hero of mine. I also like his son, Jason. I actually got to meet and hang out with him a couple times while he toured with Foreigner. I like the band Deep Purple and their drummer, Ian Paiste. The guy's got some super fast hands. I enjoy Rush, being Canadian, and their drummer, Neil Peart. He's probably one of the greatest in the world, and may he rest in peace. Unfortunately, he just passed away. But then I get into some funk and R&B. As I got a little bit older, I ventured off into some more groovier stuff. And I like the Fearless Flyers with their drummer, Nate Smith. That guy, his complex rhythm patterns are just insane. I can't even wrap my head around them sometimes. I like the Average White Band with their drummer, Steve Ferrone. Brothers Johnson. I like James Brown, Clyde Stubberfield, the Groove Master. Stevie Wonder, himself playing, and he has all sorts of session drummers with him. Bernard Purdy, who's a session player who has big influence on my playing, huge. And it's groovy stuff, and it's really fun to play. I feel you can get more in depth musically with it and have more fun. All right, you young buck. So why don't you introduce yourself, Josh, and give the audience a bit of insight on who you are?
In kind, thank you for a very lovely introduction, Chris. So, yeah, I would have to say that my earliest influences would have to be, my first guitar mind-blowing moment for me was hearing The Edge on New Year's Day. That sound is still burned in my brain as such a huge influence on me. And then growing up in a very musical household, I was exposed to, like Chris just said, Led Zeppelin and Rush in Jimmy Page and Alex Lifeson respectively. But I think the biggest influence on me at that time was David Gilmour, and his guitar tone in Pink Floyd was just so influential. And then around high school, there was a major change in my sort of style and my approach to guitar. When I first heard The Who's Quadrophenia, that just blew me away. And hearing Jack White and Kurt Cobain and people using the guitar for interesting songwriting and sounds and guitar tone to create a mood rather than just using a wicked solo, it opened up so many more doors for me and in realizing what the guitar could really do and its potential. So now I would have to say my biggest influences are Brian Aubert from Silver Sun Pickups, Dallas Green from City and Color and Alexis on Fire. What Bon Iver is doing is really interesting to me, and by far my number one favorite band probably right now is Radiohead, and the way that they create soundscapes and create moods and go in a direction with the guitar that I'd never heard before. And that's what really piques my interest and really inspires me, is guitar that is used outside of rock just as much as in rock is super influential and inspiring to me, and just breaking traditions and outside the box thinking of an instrument and thinking of it as an instrument and not just a rock instrument, So people who are doing that right now, I think, are Brockhampton, who are a rap group, but the way that they use guitar as a texture in their beat making and their sound production is just so inspiring to me, as well as Akira Yamaoka, who did the soundtracks for the Silent Hill video games. And that entire soundtrack for those first couple games just blew my mind the first time I heard them, and really made me realize, wait, you can do that?
Oh my God!
Yes, you can. And that's what really inspires me. I want people to hear me play and think, I didn't know you could do that. But that being said, now that I'm in college and majoring in jazz guitar, I've recently been rediscovering my admiration for Pat Metheny, and that my dad showed me originally many, many years ago. And rediscovering his stuff has just been opening so many new doors for me.
Right on, man. That was very informative and insightful. So you guys can tell, we got some similar interests and inspirations from some huge bands, But that being said, we each got our own separate distinctive tastes. So hopefully we kept you entertained enough to want to stick around to listen to future episodes. So what we plan on doing is picking one topic and having something within that topic be discussed per episode. We plan on touching base with different instrument companies and preferences on gear, maybe interviewing musicians on band life and how things are while recording and touring, perhaps some discussion on albums and songs, along with concert experiences and upcoming shows.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for us on Music Madness today. Once again, we're your hosts,
Chris
and Josh. Thanks for tuning in. Next week on Music Madness, we interview Jimmy Page.
New episodes released every Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time.
Rock and roll, man.
Hey,
You.
don't forget to subscribe. Or watch another video or something. It's okay, I have time. I can wait. Did you click it?